Happy hump day, everyone. It is time for yet another dose of cruise news, and today's this or that. I think it's going to be a one-sided answer. Let's roll the intro. Hey, welcome to the Midships channel. I'm your Captain Corey, and today it's time for another slice of cruise news. And before we get started, we got a this or that question that we got to get to today. Ever popular this or that? I think, though, this one, it's probably going to be a one-sided answer, but this or that. Do you approve of having daylight savings time, or do you disapprove of daylight savings time? Should we do away with it? Did I see that there's actually like a bill in Congress that might actually do away with daylight savings time? Amazing. I'm team no daylight savings time. You better believe it. Now, as we're getting started today, I want to remind you, Midships has a group cruise coming up. It's so soon. It's leaving October 24th out of Charleston, South Carolina. If you'd like to come on board with me, we're leaving on the Carnival Sunshine. It's a 5-night cruise going down to Carnival's private island, Half Moon Cay. If you'd like more information on the group cruise, there's a link in the description below. It will take you to the Facebook group. Go ahead and ask all the questions you want in there, and that's where you can find the pricing and the details. All right, well, the cruise news could get a little wild today because there's some things going on. You may agree with them, you might disagree with them. First off, the CDC has lowered the travel warning level for cruising. Now they're taking the stance that it's not so risky after all to get on board a cruise ship. I wholeheartedly agree, of course, I've said that all along, because they were the safest method of travel ever during COVID. Go ahead, fight me in the comments. Go ahead. I'm waiting for the keyboard warriors. I know there's always a few of you out there. And do you remember the Norwegian cruise ship, the Escape? The one that ran aground in Puerto Plata? Yeah, well, they've canceled the rest of that cruise. Plus, they've canceled the next cruise. They're sending everyone home that was on board the cruise ship, which it's probably fine for everyone cruising with a passport. That's probably a really good reason that you should have a passport on any cruise you take. Just saying, because now how are you getting home from the Dominican Republic without a passport? Gonna be tricky. Well, photos are now emerging of the lower portions of the hull of the Norwegian Escape, and there's some indications that there could actually be some damage done to this vessel. We're not sure yet the extent of it, but from what I've seen and what you can see in these photos, it looks superficial, mostly. It looks like we've got some scratched up paint. However, look a little bit closer at this picture. You see those two little black crosses over on the right side? Does anybody know what that means? Well, if you don't, I'll tell you. That means down underneath the waterline where you can't see, there's little thrusters, propellers, right there. And they're all the way down towards the bottom of the ship, right down where the ship would have made contact with the bottom of the seafloor, which means we don't really know quite the extent of the damage that was actually done to the Escape because of things like that. Remember, the entire weight of the vessel was pushing down on something, and it could have been the keel, which I'm no engineer, but probably would be okay. But if it was pushing down on, say, something like these thrusters or the Aussie pods on the back of the ship, that's not going to be okay. Remember, this ship ran aground and was sitting there as the tide went out, which meant less and less buoyancy as the water level goes down, which means more weight pushing down on the bottom of the ship. We don't know, what could have been down there. There could be major water problems or maneuverability and limitations to the ship. We don't know if it was resting on something on the bottom of the seafloor, poking up into the, the hull of the vessel or into these thrusters. It's a big question mark right now. And if I had a Norwegian Escape cruise booked in the next few weeks, I would definitely be looking at some alternatives were it me. So as this story continues to unfold and develop, make sure you're subscribed here to this channel so you don't miss any of the updates on what ends up happening with the Norwegian Escape, the ship that ran aground. Now, in some better news, the CDC has officially come out and lowered the travel warning for cruising, and I'm going to tell you about it right before I let you know that Midships has an Amazon store. It's a great place to find all the cruise essentials I take with me on every single cruise. The best part about it, most of them cost 20 bucks or less, some even down to like 8 bucks. All of it ships on Amazon Prime, which means you can pretty much get it in 2 days. And just clicking on the links to check it out does help support this channel and my work a little bit. Even if you don't buy anything, thank you so much. I really appreciate all your love and support, Midships family. Now, enough talking. Let's get back to this cruise news, because Like I said, CDC has officially lowered the travel warning for cruising yet again. It went as high as the highest level, which was a 4, right? A lot of you remember that from a few months back. The CDC said cruising was extremely high risk, and you shouldn't do it, even if you were fully vaccinated and up to date on your boosters. Well, on Monday, the Public Health Agency came out and lowered its warning way down to level 2, which means the CDC fully believes that cruising only presents moderate health risks at this point in time. And to put this into perspective, the CDC's warning chart, it's 4 levels. So we're halfway to being considered fully safe once again. And this is not like an arbitrary lowering. This is lowered because the CDC has now seen somewhere between 50 to 99 COVID cases per 100,000 residents in the US over the past 28 days. So they actually are using some type of metrics to determine this thing. Now, whether or not you like the metrics or the CDC's opinions, that's up to you. So obviously now the next question is, how do we get cruising lowered down to only a level 1 or level 0? Well, to do that, at least for a level 1, there has to be fewer than 50 new COVID cases per 100,000 people over the past 28 days here on land in the US. So only time will tell if we can get down to a level 1, but fingers are remaining crossed, at least here. And another thing to consider is last month, when the CDC lowered the level from 4 to 3, most major cruise lines went ahead and dropped a lot of their mandates like masking, or some of them got rid of smoking bans in their casinos. They reopened their employees' crew bars, the venues for the employees, the crew members. Things just started opening up and moving again. Also, they began allowing unvaccinated children to cruise, 5 and under. So now that we're going down from level 3 to level 2 on the CDC's warning chart, it makes you ask, are we going to see even more things be allowed to happen again on cruise ships in the coming weeks or months? And yes, I'm referring to compulsory vaccination requirements. I think it's time to start reassessing that now that we've really gotten a handle on COVID here on land. And the other thing to consider is, what's the difference of having an unvaccinated 5-year-old versus having an unvaccinated 65-year-old person on a cruise ship? I don't personally know what the difference is, aside from more health risks for the 65-year-old passenger than the 5-year-old passenger, but I'm also not a trained medical expert. So if any of you are watching and you are a medical expert, not just one on a keyboard with a Twitter account, let me know in the comments below. Is there a difference beyond just the risk factor for people on cruise ships that are unvaccinated of different ages? Okay, and speaking of loosening restrictions on board ships, Royal Caribbean sent out a letter to booked guests, letting them know that beginning March 18th, day after my birthday, all guests can freely visit most ports of call, regardless of their vaccination status. Previously, the cruise line would only allow guests off the ship if they were fully vaccinated, or if they were on a Royal Caribbean bubble excursion, right? And speaking of Royal Caribbean, you may start actually seeing crew members on board their ships wearing less restrictive masks. They're kind of stepping down from those N95s down to surgical masks, or you might see them in no masks at all, like if they're out on the pool slinging those drinks. Love those crew members out on the pool slinging drinks. Basically, it's going to come down to where the crew member works, and again, they're probably welcome to wear masks if they personally choose to. I don't think any employer is going to stop that. That wouldn't really be great. Okay, moving on. Remember how we talked about the Australian cruises yesterday and that cruise ban they have? That was yesterday, I think. Okay, well, beginning April 17th, the country's cruise ban will officially end. However, and this is a however, pay attention here, to ensure the cruising remains safe, Australia will put in place a number of restrictions, measures of a sort, including enhanced pre-arrival COVID testing, stress testing of the emergency response systems in relation to outbreaks on cruise ships, as well as a full vaccination requirement for cruise passengers. And in another bit of news, for my Galveston, Texas cruisers, get ready, because Ruby Princess from Princess Cruise Line, she's heading to Galveston beginning December of this year. She'll homeport there until April of 2023, and this will mark the first time in many years that Princess as a brand will have a ship homeport in the port of Galveston, Texas. Okay, it's about time for me to run over to the airport. I'm heading over to MCO, Orlando International. Like I said to you in an episode previous to this, I'm going through some things with a family member right now that I have to be there for that person. So you could be seeing Midships episodes for a while up from Columbus, Ohio. So hope you have a blessed day. Thank you so much for stopping by the channel today. And until next time, we'll see you on the Midships. La 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 la.
la 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 la.